Everybody, it's a hard act to follow after the smelly elephant. That's something we didn't try actually. So after around 10 years of wanting to come to an IEF conference, I'm finally here. We have had a few presentations from India, but not from the region I have come to represent. The Karbi Foothills is in Assam. It's in the northeast of India. We have the second largest population of wild elephants, 5,719 according to the last census, which is an increase of about 500 elephants since the one 5 years before. We also have the largest population of domestic elephants with over 1,200 in captivity. I represent the Green Guard Nature Organization, and we always work with the Forest Department. This is just an example. This is a map of the protected areas of Assam. But if you Google up, it's one of the greenest areas of the country. But all the protected areas are actually very much fragmented, and we have conflict all over. The entire belt is conflict affected. So where we work is the Karbi Foothills, and this is close to the Kaziranga National Park, the world famous World Heritage Site, and it's part of the Kaziranga Karbi Anglong Elephant Reserve, which is seeing a growing intensity of conflict. We have again two types of elephants, some of which inhabit the forest, and as the communities say, they are smaller in size than the grassland elephants, which live in the Kaziranga area and often migrate during the times of the floods. So the Kaziranga, the entire Brahmaputra Valley is flooded every year, and the elephants move up the hills. These are the herds that we see during the floods. So people here are always living with elephants, and where I live, we have to go about 20 kilometers to see an wild elephant, but they often come into town. Like last month, one person was killed in my hometown, and of course this happened after a very long time that we had 3 elephants, wild elephants coming into town. But even in a larger city, Guwahati, you can have wild elephants coming into town in Tejpur, in Jorhat. So it's quite common. And domestic elephants are there all over. So we see an elephant almost every day. Still, people are scared. The communities, the first reaction is to run, climb up a tree and then watch the movement. So this is a very effective line of communication. We found out, like people relay the presence of elephants. I don't know how, but by word of mouth, it moves faster than the official communication channel. So villagers, in fact, inform the department that the elephants are coming, whereas the department is, equipped to convey the message actually. This is a region steeped in superstitions, a lot of beliefs that we may find totally unreasonable, but I was so much skeptical regarding this Hasti Bhog, or this practice of offering some kind of a part of your agricultural produce, a part of the paddy harvested every season to the passing herds. But apparently it works, and these villagers are doing it every year, right? And in some places this was abandoned, these practices are abandoned, but my organization has been trying to revive these practices for no other reason than to revive the age-old bond that had existed. So once people stop practicing this kind of traditions, then we feel that they lose the bonds that have. We have heard of Ganesha, right? The elephant god being worshipped around the country. This is an example. People actually keep these bones in the compounds, and they worship them. So these prayers are offered every morning, every evening, and this used to be very common where we work in the Karbi Foothills, but slowly these practices have disappeared as well. Wild elephants used to get a memorial service, we call it Shraddha in Hinduism, and even now sometimes when the elephants die, the community gets together to perform a memorial service. One of the drivers we feel of conflict in this area is, of course, the proliferation of tea gardens and rubber plantations. So most of these tea gardens have are traditional dondees or corridors, and now the elephants, peacefully they tend to pass through these tea gardens, and there's not much conflict. But along with these plantations comes settlements. So the people start to cultivate paddy, and then the conflict starts. This is a very interesting photograph that I just put up. As you can see, there are 4 people in the picture who are very aggressive, but if you can see the eyes of the elephant, except for the matriarch, all the others are riveted on the red shirt. And when I show this to some people, they think that the interest is because they think that person is marking his territory, like they do in nature. Okay, so these are some of the examples of conflict. There are some houses here, some granaries. It is not just paddy stored here that's targeted. They are very fond of salts. It's very common. And most importantly, villagers produce a rice beer, and they love to drink that, right? And some of the bulls actually get habituated and they roam around. So one of the things we try to do is stop the production of rice beer, at least at the foothills. Equally important is that most of the casualties here that happen are people who get drunk and move around in the night. The people are really poor, in a poor country, these are the poorest people, right? They live a hand-to-mouth existence, and when they're passing herd, destroys the paddy like that, and they have nothing to eat. So they go back to the forest, start hunting the animals there. They depend on bushmeat. They cut down the trees and sell, because the entire compensatory stuff is not working. We have a lot of casualties. I didn't want to put this, but just the picture of the elephant on the top left corner, you can see a piece of the trunk that was cut off, right? So that's another aspect. Some of the communities believe that if you carry the dried piece of trunk with them in the pocket, that gives them good luck in gambling and so on and so forth. So this is something I thought it would add to the knowledge of this area. So violent retaliation is very common, and elephants get injured, and then we have a lot of casualties. In fact, Assam is probably the state with the maximum number of casualties. I'm not getting into numbers because every life, whether human or elephant, is important. One trend that we have been seeing, in the past, most of the deaths used to be attributed to poisoning, and we hardly have any post-mortem, and people, when an elephant is dead, they pass it off as poisoning, right? In the past, we had electrocutions. Most of them were accidental, but now we are seeing intentional electrocutions. And one of the reasons we feel this has increased is some of the organizations have implemented very successful electric fences, and but then obviously this cannot be done everywhere. So the villages where this has not been done, the official electrification has not been done, electric fences have not been installed, they try to do it on their own, and they just connect a wire to the high power lines going overhead, and lay it across the fields, and people have died, elephants have died, and when they discover that in the morning, they try to hide that, and that's becoming increasingly common where we work. Well, this is the story we have been seeing, but we also have poachers, and some of our team got these guys, and bamboo collection is rampant again. This is a new threat. Near the Kaziranga National Park, we had a lot of stone quarries, which the court has intervened to stop in the last 6 months or so. So we had a proliferation of this stone quarry shifting to our project area, and now this has become a new problem. These are invasive creepers, and they have blanketed the entire landscape in the Karbi Foothills, which I believe is the most important challenge that we face now. Villagers tell us they have been telling us for quite a few years now, the grasslands have disappeared, so the elephants are hungry, so it is inevitable that they will come down. But if you go up now, the entire landscape is covered with shrubs, and some of them are thorny, and you just cannot get to even the bamboo grooves that the elephant loves to feed on the leaves. But this is a challenge that we tried some habitat improvement stuff, but it never worked. This is a project we did with the US Fish and Wildlife Service around 10 years back when we first wanted to come to IEA. Now we are working with elephant family. So some of our priorities have changed. We now concentrate more on using indigenous knowledge and methods. So I'll just run through. This is something you might find interesting. This is a tripwire method. It was quite successful. We also implemented this in North Bengal. So simple thread, when the elephant tries to pass underneath, this triggers the alarm bell, the calling bell. So the villagers are sleeping on that tongi or the watchtower. So they are directed in the middle of the night. They know of the incidents and the direction of the intrusion. So they can switch on the lights or use the blowhorns to chase the elephants. It worked quite nicely for a long time, quite a few seasons. We also documented, unfortunately those were the days 10 years back, we didn't have the mobile phone cameras that we could record those things, but we found elephant tracks going around this threaded area. We found villagers told us of the elephant trying to crawl underneath the thread. And then in one incident, the elephants were inside a threaded area, and when the villagers chased them, they would not get out because the thread was there. So we had to cut the thread, and then, in fact, some villagers were calling it black magic. So, but very soon we found out that they started to chew the thread and then pass through. So after some time, they got used to that. And another interesting aspect we found was a lot of elephant hair on this thread. So we suspect that the elephants were, when they were trying to pass under the thread, because it's a sturdy thread and it was rolling on the backs and plucking out the hair. And that may be the reason that they were so much afraid of this installation. We did try out our own citrus fencing, which never really worked and never took off. We tried lemons there, and we tried some chili fence as well with dried chilies and using a piece of ember to keep the fire going. We placed it in some corridors. Sometimes it worked, but it's so much dependent on the direction of the wind. So if the wind direction changes, it's the humans who are running. So this is an example of the landscape. So as you can see, there are a lot of plantations, and this actually reminds me, of the arcade game called Whack-a-Mole. Yeah. So the mole comes up in one direction, then you chase it, then it goes somewhere else. So as you level up, you're using the hammer faster and faster, and finally the game wins, right? So, but we cannot let that happen. So we have to really find a way. None of this is working, and now we are more into concentrating, trying to change the mindsets. So we talk with villagers, we equip them with flashlights, which seem to be the least deadly method, and it seems to work every time. We provide them with blowhorns and lights, and then we use drama and arts and film screenings to motivate them. We have a good team working on the ground. We use to celebrate all the environment days on the calendar in these areas. Elephant Day, we are the first to celebrate, I guess, in these remote places. In this particular case, we are providing clothes to these little girls, and that was very important for them. So the entire family was very happy, and they would provide us with information and do whatever we told them to. So it was really nice. We provide people with blankets and mosquito nets, and actually this is part of the project. Elephant Family is actually funding us to do that, but we need to do it more and more. We did try this habitat improvement. This is a type of, we call it community elephant fodder plantation, and this was done in some of the fringe areas near the corridor. So when the elephant comes down, we have this giant banana known as bhimkol in Assam. It's really big banana tree, and elephants love that. So the elephants, when they're coming down from the mountain, they find this grove, they feed on that and they pass by. So it has worked in some places, but again, it's very much dependent on which direction they come down from. It has not been done in a wide, in a large scale way. But it again involves the people. So we tried the clearing of the invasive species in our areas by burning them down. This is a big challenge because the farmers, they are marginal, and they really are very possessive of their land. So if there's a tree or even a productive plant growing in the plot adjacent to where we are burning, accidentally the fire goes there, that could be a huge problem. You must remember that the entire Karbi Foothills where we work is inhabited by around 10 different ethnic groups speaking about 6 different languages, and more importantly 4 different religions. So there's a lot of human conflict going on, so it becomes more difficult. Salt licks, this is something we kind of heard from others, saw it being implemented in some places in Thailand, I guess, and we tried this. We had documented elephants coming and other wildlife as well to the salt licks, but it's not very effective. And we tried these flashlights with the villagers. We go to the field all the time, and we use a lot of posters. And before I end, I think I should tell you the stories. This exemplifies the kind of superstitions we work with. So this baby elephant was abandoned in a village, and that lady who is hugging the elephant in this photo. So suddenly she screamed with wild hair, and she started to tell that this is a reincarnation of somebody who died recently and come to the village. So these guys have come to take the baby, our God, and you cannot do that. And the other villagers got aggressive trying to prevent that. But even our guys were kneeling down and praying, during that time, because it was all madness. But within an hour or two, the liquor worked better. Everybody slept off, and we could take the baby away and send it to a rehab center. So, that's all from Assam. Thank you very much for having me here. I look forward to interacting with you. And one answer that I really look forward in the next sessions is how do we get rid of the invasives? Is there an answer? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.